On the Mido Macia case and other police-related issues, we are now joined in studio by SAPS spokesperson, Lieutenant General Solomon Makgale. Lieutenant, very good morning to you and welcome.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on your show.
What is the SAPS's reaction to the Mido Macia court ruling?
When we conducted the internal disciplinary hearings and we figured out that the police officers did not conduct themselves in accordance with the training that we've given them, in accordance with the rules and regulations, and had absolutely no regard for Mr. Mido Macia's rights. And that is why we took a decision that we should dismiss them from the service. So we actually welcome the conviction, the murder conviction. We believe that it is true indeed what was said in court, how the events unfolded.
Mm-hmm. Now, SABS management has considered that it needs to do more to rid the police service of criminals. Can you elaborate on that statement?
Well, you know, the biggest challenge, or one of the biggest challenges with the service currently is the issue of discipline. Mm-hmm. We need members that are disciplined, that will conduct themselves professionally, that will conduct themselves in line with the oath of office that they took the day they accepted the position in the South African Police Service. And there are some who still believe that wearing blue uniform is a license, for them to abuse it, for them to do what we've seen these 8 police officers did to Mido Macia. And it's totally unacceptable. Mm-hmm. We are now sitting with a grieving family, and our hearts goes out to them and to his friends. But we had a situation in our hands as management. We dealt with it by taking the necessary disciplinary measures, and we assisted with the criminal investigation, and we're quite happy with the outcome.
But what does it say about the South African Police Service? Is this perhaps a lack of training, or what is it that's at the core problem here? Well,
the officers involved, they've been with the police for a very long time, so they know how to effect an arrest. They can't say they don't know. Mm. They cannot say that they don't know what sits in the Bill of Rights. They cannot say they do not know what the Batupili principles are all about. They cannot say that they cannot distinguish between legal and illegal conduct. Beating someone up is just totally unacceptable. Handcuffing him the way they did, unacceptable. That they know. So it's not a question of training. For the way I see it, it's an issue of discipline and abuse of power that comes with the blue uniform. Mm-hmm.
Some would argue that they were just doing their jobs. But there is the other issue, of course, with another video that has just surfaced of alleged police brutality by Douglasdale police officers. Now, after they were filmed allegedly choking a man until he passed out, yes, while his friend begged them to not harm him. What is the SAPS reaction to that?
Well, let me just say, about the Mido Macia. You say people might say, well, they just do their jobs. No, they're not. Our jobs does not include killing people. Yes, there is circumstances under which it can be done when your life is in danger, but there was no danger here, and there was absolutely no reason for them, firstly, to try and detain him, as the court said, and secondly, to take him to the cells in the condition that he was in and still beat him up. But let me deal with the second issue with regard to the video. That kind of conduct is also not acceptable. It is not something that we tolerate in the police. So what we've done, we've already initiated an internal disciplinary inquiry. We've also opened a docket. We've given it to the IPID, which is a body that investigates police criminality. So the investigations are progressing from that point of view.
Now, just going back to the Mido Macia case, following the judgment, is the police still going to oppose the civil claim by the family or not?
Oh, well, we've issued a statement where we've indicated that the last thing we would want under these circumstances is a long, drawn-out court battle with regards to the civil claim. We have asked the lawyers to meet with us so that we can find a solution. We would like to make sure that this matter is wrapped up as quickly as possible and do everything possible to avoid going to court.
generally, what would you say about the image of the police currently and the morale in the police service?
Those are two very broad questions. But look, unfortunately, I only get called here when there's a problem, when something has gone wrong. And in that way, the public is robbed of the opportunity of having a balanced view about what is happening in the police. There's some things that go wrong. There's some things that are happening and things that are happening in the right way. People getting convicted, people getting arrested. I mean, we arrest in the vicinity of 1.7 million people a year. So you can imagine that out of that large number, there'll be incidents where things don't go in accordance with the books, in accordance with the training. But, unfortunately, you don't call me when things are going well, so
and
people wouldn't know.
We should call you more often.
You should call me more often. Just by way of example, I joke with my colleagues from the media, and I say to them, the case of Kresha is going so well that it's quiet.
Yes.
You don't hear about it. Why? Because it's going well. The minute there's a problem that, the court says, hey, the police didn't do this or the police didn't do that, then the media comes, they flood the courtroom. It's just one of those things. But we continue to work hard to make sure that our members do not get demoralized. We yesterday, immediately after the court outcome, the National Commissioner called the investigating officers, the team, to congratulate them. She's very, very happy, over the moon, because the conviction of Kresha did not come easily.
Yes.
It's just a lot of hard work. People put their lives at risk, those officers that are working on the case. And unfortunately, we live in an environment where such hard work is not recognized.
Let me be the first, and here on 404, to congratulate the police and yourselves on the good work that you've been doing.
Thank you very
But
much.
there's another worrying trend, and that worrying trend is worrying not just for us, but for the entire South African community. The spate of police killings is worrying. What are you as the SAPS doing to amend that and make sure that police are not out in the open and all by themselves and not being protected?
Well, you know what really, yes, the killings of police officers is worrisome. But if you look at the statistics, comparatively, we're not doing that badly. It's still bad. One police officer is a crisis for me. What bothers me is the number of attacks on police where they are stoned. In some instances, people bite them and they are punched with fists by members of the public. We've recorded an increase from 1,000 cases the previous financial year to 1,300 to 1,500 incidents. And this is a worrying trend. We cannot allow a situation where the police are seen as the enemy of the community. The police belong to us in this country, and we need to work together with the police, and we need to do everything possible to mend those relations between the community and the police. With regard to safety, bottom line is that our police officers are issued with safety gear, and they must wear it. Simple as that. Don't put the bulletproof vest in the boot. It must be worn at all times when the police officer is on duty. But we must also understand that the criminals that we are dealing with now are not pickpocketers who are coming with an okapi to rob a cell phone shop. They're coming armed with AK-47s. And our police officers are doing their best to respond accordingly. There was an incident recently in Jeppes where the two police officers were cornered. But men, the one that died, he fought a good fight right up until the end, and he took a few of them out and injured quite a number of them, which shows that the training that we are doing is adequate for the circumstances that the police are facing. But we just need to understand as the community that it is a war out there. It's tough. And these people they're not going to say, hey, here's a police officer, let me run away. They engage.
Let me just go back to Kritcha just briefly before we end this conversation. The congratulations was there in terms of how you handled the case, but the judge, Lamont, was very scathing about the police's handling of the case.
Yes,
Talk to me about
there was a particular aspect that the judge wasn't happy with. If the police had done a terrible job, Kritcha would not have been convicted. To find those witnesses, to make sure that their statements are taken correctly, to make sure that the investigation is done in a professional manner, all of those things were done. There's a particular aspect the judge wasn't happy with, and we take that on the chin. I think given the task that the police had to bring this man who for years has been evading police arrest, has been doing as he pleases, and has been able to influence people within the police, in fact, within the entire criminal justice system. I'm talking magistrates, judges, prosecutors. This was difficult. And in the circumstances, the manner in which the investigation was conducted, we are very pleased. We are very pleased. For us, it's a huge psychological win. We needed this because it sets the tone for the many cases that are coming up. I'm sure by the time we're done with Kritcha, you would have retired from the police, from the SABC.
And I'm sure it's a good morale booster as well for the police as well.
Absolutely.
But moving forward, Lieutenant General, your appeal to the nation out there, to the people who are seeing that the men in blue are being killed on a daily basis. What is your appeal? How could communities cooperate and make this a better place for all of us?
Well, what is it that is killing our police officers? It's illegal firearms. It's illegal firearms. And we are appealing to members of the community. If you are aware that there is somebody who is carrying a firearm that is illegal, phone 086 00 10 111. And inform us about it. We will do our investigations because we need to remove as many firearms as possible from society. I mean, at the rate at which we are going now, we just recently destroyed 15,000 of them. We're going to be destroying a further 10,000 before the end of this year. Illegal firearms that we have confiscated. It's just a big problem, big social problem, and that's adding to the violent nature of the engagements between the criminals and the police.
And of course, the criminals live in our societies. They live in our townships. They live in our midst.
They're my brother, your cousin, your aunt, your uncle, and I think we as members of the public must take that responsibility. How often we say, so-and-so has bought a new car, but they don't work. Where do they get the money from? And we also do know that they socialize. They spend this money somewhere. They don't move to Sandton all of a sudden where they buy a big mansion. They still live amongst us in the townships, in the other suburban areas. And we need to come forward with this crucial information that is going to assist the police. Even if you become aware that the police also are involved in this, please inform us so that we can take appropriate action.
Lieutenant General, thank you so much for coming in and clearing up some matters here for us.
Thank you very much.
That was the National SAPS spokesperson, Lieutenant General Solomon Makgale.